When a plane falls from the sky, the sound is temporary, but the silence that follows is permanent. For the families, that silence is a void of immeasurable grief that will never be filled. But in the cold, hard world of global business, that same silence is instantly filled by the deafening roar of numbers. The recent tragic loss of Air India Flight 113 and Airbus A350 that crashed after takeoff from Delhi is a profound human disaster that has rightly captured the world's attention. But what most people will never see is the silent multi-billion-dollar corporate crisis that ignited the very moment that plane disappeared from radar. This isn't just about one airline or one lost aircraft. It's about the futures of two corporate titans, Air India and the European manufacturing giant Airbus, now thrown into a firestorm of financial liability, regulatory scrutiny, and the potential for reputational ruin. A brand, especially an airline's brand, is a fragile promise of safety, and that promise has just been violently broken. To truly understand what lies ahead for them, to see the grim blueprint of the disaster that is only just beginning to unfold, you have to look at the ghosts of tragedies past. Because in this brutal business, every major air disaster creates a new chapter in the rulebook of corporate crisis. And history is not just a lesson, it's a prophecy. And in this video, we are going to decode that prophecy. We will uncover the silent, multi-billion-dollar war that ignites after a tragedy like this. The high-stakes insurance claims, the manufacturer's fight for its reputation, and the airline's desperate battle for survival. Before the first recovery teams are even assembled, algorithms half a world away have already priced the disaster into the market, wiping billions off a company's value in the blink of an eye. After the physical explosion comes the financial one, and it is always, without fail, bigger, more complex, and more ruthless than anyone can imagine. To comprehend the storm now gathering over Airbus, you must first understand the corporate implosion that befell its arch-rival Boeing. The 737 MAX crisis, sparked by two crashes in 2018 and 2019, wasn't just a tragedy. It was a complete systems failure of a corporate icon, born from a desperate need to compete. Boeing was losing ground to Airbus's newer, more fuel-efficient A320neo. In their haste to catch up, they built the MAX on an old frame and created a flawed piece of software known as MCAS to compensate. They didn't properly inform pilots about it, and the result was two fatal crashes and the grounding of their entire global fleet for 20 agonizing months. The direct cost to Boeing ballooned to well over $20 billion. That staggering figure includes paying massive compensation to airlines for their parked, useless planes, and the immense costs of halting and then slowly and painfully restarting production lines. The financial bleed was just getting started. The US Department of Justice hit the company with a crippling $2.5 billion settlement for fundamentally misleading safety regulators. For the families of the 346 victims, Boeing established a $100 million compensation fund, a number that only served as the opening bid before years of individual private settlements. The company's stock price collapsed, wiping out tens of billions in market value and, most devastatingly, shattering a century-old reputation for unparalleled engineering excellence. Now, consider Airbus. The A350, the model from the Air India crash, has a stellar, near-perfect safety record. But that fact is now a very fragile shield. Airbus must now launch its own multi-million-dollar internal investigation to get ahead of the official one, fiercely defending its cash cow A350 program. In the coming months, every component, every line of software code, every maintenance record of that aircraft will be scrutinized with ferocious, unforgiving intensity by a host of international agencies. The slightest hint of a systemic flaw could trigger a crisis of confidence that mirrors the Boeing disaster. This is the manufacturer's ultimate nightmare. The moment a machine is suspected of being fallible, the financial consequences are immediate and catastrophic. But the fate of the manufacturer is only one half of this devastating equation. The other half follows an even more predictable and arguably more complex financial blueprint: the intricate world of aviation insurance, passenger liability, and the airline's desperate fight for survival. For this, we must look to the haunting case of Air France Flight 447, an Airbus A330 that mysteriously crashed into the Atlantic Ocean in 2009. The first financial domino to fall was the plane itself. The hull loss was an immediate insurance claim worth approximately $130 million. But that number, as massive as it seems, is trivial compared to the avalanche that came next. The dramatic deep-sea search for the black boxes alone took nearly 2 years and cost around $50 million, a testament to the immense cost of just finding answers. This is where the complex global nature of aviation insurance comes into play. A single $300 million aircraft isn't insured by one company. It's covered by a syndicate of dozens of global insurers and reinsurers, often based out of markets like Lloyd's of London, who all share a piece of the immense risk. Immediately after the Air India crash, these syndicates began bracing for the hull loss claim. But their larger concern is liability. Under an international treaty known as the Montreal Convention, an airline is held strictly liable for passenger deaths up to a certain threshold, currently around $170,000 per person, meaning they must pay compensation without any proof of fault. This is just the floor. For the families of the 228 victims of Flight 447, this was the start of a grueling, decade-long legal war against both Air France and Airbus. The total compensation paid out climbed deep into the hundreds of millions. That long battle culminated in a controversial 2023 verdict where both companies were acquitted of criminal manslaughter charges, yet still held civilly responsible. It was a verdict that left many families with a bitter taste, a stark reminder of how difficult it is to hold a corporation criminally accountable. And it serves as a powerful reminder that in the world of corporate law, every settlement and every insurance claim is ultimately an attempt to place a financial value on an immeasurable human law. This is the blueprint of liability that Air India and its new parent, the powerful and respected Tata Group, are facing at this very moment. And this tragedy strikes at the worst possible time. Tata Group had just launched a massive, expensive rebranding campaign to resurrect Air India, moving away from its tired image and repositioning it as a world-class premium carrier. Their marketing spoke of the new face of Indian aviation. That investment in new branding, new uniforms, and a new customer experience is now catastrophically overshadowed. The company must now pivot from marketing its bright future to managing its dark, tragic present. So what is the real story here? Beyond the headlines and the immeasurable human grief, a silent, cold, and efficient machine of finance and law has been activated. It's a machine that will methodically calculate the cost of human life against the value of a corporate reputation and the price of a single catastrophic failure. For the companies involved, the next few years will be a grueling battle defined by billion-dollar insurance negotiations, protracted legal fights across multiple continents, and a desperate, all-consuming campaign to rebuild public trust. These events force us to confront a difficult truth that modern air travel, one of humanity's greatest achievements, is built on a foundation of calculated risk, where the cost of ultimate safety is constantly weighed against the price of a stock and the pressures of the market. The true cost of this disaster won't be measured just by the immediate financial losses that dominate the news today, but by the long, arduous, and incredibly expensive road back from the brink. The real question is not whether these powerful corporations will survive, they almost certainly will, it's what and who they will be forced to sacrifice to do so.